Hello, this is JC De Guzman for our daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for September 2, 2019 in preparation for the next trading day on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. As you may already know, lots of nickel or mining related stocks soared today. They rose today. One of them actually did a ceiling play, which is nickel. And most of the stocks that I'm going to talk about in this video are related to mining or nickel or kind of metal. So before we start with the actual analysis, I'd like to remind you that this video is for short-term trading purposes and that if you are interested in trading any of these 10 stocks and if they happen to start at a price lower or higher than the dominant range that you're about to see, make sure that you post for that particular stock's latest trade and volume distribution and through market sentiment charts in our private clients forum. And also, before you enter a new position in a stock, of course, you already know that the 10 MACD combo must be valid and that the momentum power indicator should be bullish. On top of that, you should calculate your reward to risk ratio as well. Unless and until you are satisfied with your reward to risk ratio, you should not enter a new position in that particular stock. I hope those three things are super clear to you already by now. All right, so in my technical analysis, I'm going to analyze using my proprietary way of doing technical analysis, and then I'm going to give you my recommendation, regardless if you already have a position or you are just planning to enter a new position in that particular stock. Let's begin with the first one in today's video, nickel. Nickel did a ceiling play today. It closed at 4.11. It broke above two resistance levels actually. The first one is at 3.06, the second one is at 3.87. Therefore, 3.87 is acting as its immediate support now. Resistance is at 4.9. Foreign investors registered a net foreign buying worth 157 million pesos today. This is actually its biggest one-day net foreign buying for the entire year to date. And the 10 MACD combo, of course, it's already valid. The 10 MACD combo is valid. I'm not going to say much about these other oscillators here at the bottom, RSI, historical volatility, and DMI, because whenever a stock does a ceiling play, expect the other oscillators or all oscillators to be exaggerated in terms of value. They spiked up. See here. So, for example, RSI, it was trading within the neutral territory before the ceiling play, and because of the ceiling play, it entered the classical overbought level. So they are pretty exaggerated now, and there's no, for me, it's not that logical as of the moment to rely on their exaggerated values. So let's take a look at nickel's trade and volume distribution chart. With respect to the closing price of 4.11, you can clearly tell here that it was force closed at its intraday high of 4.11. Before 4.11, the primary dominant range is between 3.9 to 4. So, if nickel will start tomorrow below 4.11, watch out between 3.9 to 4. If it starts below 3.9, watch out between 3.3 to 3.5. Yes, okay, so that's the second dominant range. Overall, the momentum power indicator is bullish. Now, the mood of the top 10 brokers was neutral today. Take a look at the top 10 players buying average is 3.6. What's nickel's closing price today? 4.11. This is another evidence, a data-driven evidence that it was just force closed at its intraday high today. All right, force closed at its intraday high today. So let's not hope that much for tomorrow. The most logical thing that we have to do here is to stick with our trailing stop loss, especially if you already have a position on nickel. Okay, so the last time that I checked on the ask spread, there were around 13.5 million unserved bids, meaning to say some traders would want to sell their nickel 13.5 million shares of nickel at 4.11 a piece per share. So don't put your hopes that too high for tomorrow. Respect your trailing stop loss. Now, my overall sentiment for nickel is bullish. Even though it's bullish, here's my recommendation. Do you have it? Is definitely it's already trading up. It's still trading above your trailing stop loss, TSL. In this case, don't forget to do an upward adjustment on your trailing stop loss. Okay? If you would like to do a test buy, this is what I would recommend you to do. And this also goes for those, this also applies to those who are yet to enter a new position. So listen to this. Observe nickel within the first 60 seconds. Seconds, not minutes. Within the first 60 seconds of trading tomorrow until 9:31 a.m. If the momentum power indicator remains bullish, then you can go ahead and do a top up. Okay? Do a top up. How would you know if the momentum power indicator is bullish? Of course, it should be green. The last candlestick should be green. And the last price should be above the VWAP. What else? Of course, with exemption to the third criterion, which is, the volume should be higher than the 50% of the stock's 10-day volume average. If it's just been 60 seconds, there's no way to expect the volume to go above 50% of the stock's 10-day volume average. And lastly, the fourth criterion, the dominant range must be closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Therefore, you must post a request for nickel's latest trade and volume distribution and true market sentiment charts in our private clients forum after the first 60 seconds. Okay? So unless and until the momentum power indicator is bullish, don't top up. How about you guys who are just about to enter a new position? I suggest calculate your reward to risk ratio first after determining that the momentum power indicator is bullish. Meaning to say, like what I mentioned during the introduction, it's not enough that the 10 SMACD combo is valid. It's not enough that the momentum power indicator is bullish. You must also be satisfied with your reward to risk ratio before you punch that buy button. Alright? So please remember that. After nickel, we move to FNI, ferronickel or Global Ferronickel Holdings. It closed today at 1.68, breaking above the previous resistance at 1.67, therefore making that as its immediate support. Immediate resistance is now at 1.86. The 10 SMACD combo is valid. Foreign investors registered a net foreign buying worth 482,000 pesos only, not as significant as their participation on nickel. So between these mining companies, nickel was the first bet of the foreign investors today. Alright? So I'm not going to cite these oscillators as well. Anyhow, let me just mention them. RSI is already in the a little bit closer to its classical overbought level. Risk level is already moderate. The upward momentum is not yet very strong. So, of course, FNI was trading the range for almost the entire year, just 2019, trading the range between 1.4 to 1.67. So don't expect the ADX to go beyond 25 points in one day. All right, FNI, with respect to the closing price of 1.68, the dominant range is actually between 1.58 to 1.68. 1.58 to 1.68. So I'm going to give the score to, if we're going to be very strict, let's see. Looks like the dominant range is closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, if we're going to be very strict and technical about it. So all in all, I have a bearish momentum power indicator on FNI. But let's not be quick in giving that decision or verdict. Remember, FNI gapped up today, meaning to say its intraday low is still higher than yesterday's closing price. In other words, when that is the case, regardless whether the dominant range, graphically speaking, whether it's closer to the intraday low or the intraday high, it's still in favor of the bulls. Why? Because today's lowest price, intraday low, is higher than yesterday's closing price. So wherever the dominant range will position itself, it's automatic. It's an automatic bullish score for the trade and volume distribution chart. So what's our final verdict then for the momentum power indicator? Your guess is as good as mine. It's bullish. Now the mood of the top 10 brokers today is neutral, meaning to say they were still uh, eavesdropping with each other. Who among you are still interested to buy FNI above 1.68? Maybe they're trying to ask that question among themselves. So they were trying to be very careful as well in their moves. So they don't want to, just do some impulsive buying. They have to be very strategic as well. So same thing with us. We have to do the same strategic decision making when it comes to trading, not only FNI but also all of these stocks in the PSE. My overall sentiment for FNI remains bullish. If you have FNI, if you have had FNI, hold your position. Before you decide to top up, make sure that you observe the stock for the first 60 seconds first. If the momentum power indicator remains bullish after 60 seconds, then top up within the dominant range. Same advice for those who are planning to enter a new position. Just don't forget that there's an extra process that you must go through, and that is the calculation of your reward to risk ratio. Okay? Next, after FNI, we got KPPI. Again, it's been almost every day that we're talking about KPPI in our video. It closed today at 11.6. Volume is not that outstanding. It's starting to dry down in terms of volume. See the downtrend on the volume day to day. Yes, support is at 9.8 in confluence with a 23.6% retracement of the up Fibonacci. Resistance is at 12.32, a precursor to 14.36, in confluence with the 38.2% and 50% retracements of the up Fibonacci respectively. Foreign investors registered a foreign buying worth 615,000 pesos today. So expect no comments for the oscillators at the bottom because it's not yet applicable. And I already mentioned why it's not applicable in my previous videos. So if you watched the previous videos, I suppose you did, and you know the answer. Now, KPPI. Let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart. Remember, the closing price is at 11.6. The dominant range is between 11.3. Let's make 11.4 to 11.8. 11.4 to 11.8. That's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Overall, the momentum power indicator is bullish. On the other hand, the mood of the top 10 brokers was in contrary to the bullishness of the momentum power indicator because the top 10 players, through market sentiment for today, was bearish. So my overall sentiment for KPPI, I'm actually neutral at this point on KPPI. What do we do here? If you still have KPPI, I suggest that you hold your position, don't top up. But I hope you already locked in your profits. I hope you respected your trailing stop loss when the price dove from 27.35 to 15 pesos per share. And it's better if none of you have KPPI. It's a lot better at this point. So, meaning to say, don't enter a new position yet if you don't have KPPI. Okay? Don't fall in love with just one stock, especially for IPO stocks. There's a lot more you can monitor. Next, after KPPI, we got MARC, another mining company. It closed today at 1.33. It also gapped up from The closing price last Friday at 1.10, now 1.33. The 10 MACD combo is valid. What else? Foreign investors are none. They're not. They registered a measly amount of worst is that worst is it's net foreign selling, unlike with nickel. Indeed, nickel was foreign investors' favorite. It was the foreign investors' darling for today among the mining stocks. It was nickel, not FNI, not MARC, okay, not ORE. Okay, RSI. It's already close to its classical overbought level, but it's an exaggerated score actually. It gapped up today. Support is at 0.99. Let's make that 1 peso per share. Resistance is at 1.4. The upward momentum, oh, it's an exaggerated score as well, so let me skip that one. Now, as far as last Friday's risk level, it was a low-risk stock bust, but because of its exaggerated ascent in price today, it turned out to be, oh, by the way, last Friday it was a moderate risk level, and because of the exaggerated turn of events today among mining stocks, the risk level is already extremely high. So let's stick to the moderate risk level as of Friday. So let's focus now on the trade and volume distribution with respect to the closing price of 1.33. The dominant range is between 1.22 or 1.2 to 1.38. 1.2 to 1.38, that's closer to the intraday high. Therefore, the momentum power indicator is bullish. On the other hand, the mood of the top 10 brokers was bearish today. Take a look at their collective buying average at 1.29. So they were bearish. So I suppose, let me make an observation here. I think those who locked in their profits were the ones who got tired of holding onto their position on MARC for quite a while already since last year. It has been trading the range between 1 peso to 1.4 since last year. Since the last quarter of last year, actually. Yes, so here. So if you have a position on MARC, I suggest that you hold your position, observe within the first 60 seconds of trading. If the momentum power indicator remains bullish after 60 seconds, then top up within the dominant range. Same advice for those who are yet to enter a new position. I'm not saying you trade it. Of course, the buy signals must be present and you must be satisfied with your reward to risk ratio first. But by the looks of this candlestick in relation to its distance to its immediate resistance, I think at this point you're better off buying on breakout. Buying on breakout. All right? So there you go. After MARC, we proceed to green. It closed today at 2.17. Support is at 1.89. Resistance is at 2.25. The 10 MACD combo is valid. RSI is in the neutral level. Risk level remains moderate. I'm already seeing a formation. Not a formation, but it already crossed, by the way. The positive DMI already crossed above the negative DMI. So this bullishness will continue all the more, especially once it breaks out above 2.25, preferably with volume higher than its 10 days, the 50% of its 10-day volume average. So the dominant range with respect to the closing price of 2.17, which is one tick away from the intraday high, it was between 2.07 to 2.17. The dominant range is still closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Overall, the momentum power indicator is bullish, but the mood of the top 10 brokers was neutral for today. The top 10 players buying average was only 2.13. My overall sentiment, nonetheless, it remains bullish because technically speaking, the 10 MACD combo is valid and the momentum power indicator is bullish. If you have had green, then you have a data-driven reason to top up within the dominant range. If you don't have green, you're better off waiting for, breakout, or you wait for a pullback. Once it pulls back near 1.9 and if it rebounds there with the 10 MACD combo becoming valid and the momentum power indicator becoming bullish, then do a top up. But for now, as far as your reward to risk ratio is concerned, you're going to get an attractive reward to risk ratio once it breaks above 2.25. Okay, next, IDC. This is now the start of the top 5 losers part of the video, the red ones. IDC closed today at 6.21. It broke below the previous support at 7.18, therefore making that one as its immediate resistance. Support is at 5.8. The 10 MACD combo is no longer valid, but the foreign investors have been on a daily net foreign buying mode for 5 consecutive trading days already, but it's not a significant amount. For example, today they only registered a net foreign buying worth 618,000 pesos. Compare that to the 100 plus million pesos worth of net foreign buying on NIKL and other stocks. And the RSI wise, it's in the neutral territory, but it's downward sloping. Risk level is already extremely high. Newbies, this is not a newbie friendly stock. This is not for you. And the downward momentum is extremely high. The downward momentum is extremely high. So here's the dominant range for IDC. The closing price of 6.21 is actually its intraday low. So that's the dominant price point, not a range. It's a standalone price point. So you know, the bearishness is still more likely to continue for IDC. So take a look at the mood. It was also bearish for the top 10 brokers today. My overall sentiment for IDC is bearish. Stay away from this stock, and I hope you brutally respected your trailing stop loss. Okay? Don't enter a new position on IDC yet. Next, Abacor. It closed today at 0.84. It broke below the previous support at 0.87, which is now the acting immediate resistance. Support is at 0.53. Well, actually, it's at 0.72. Okay, or 0.74 in confluence with the 38.2% of the up Fibonacci retracement. Alright, so there you go. It's the 10 MACD combo is already invalid. Oh, no, not yet. It's still valid. It will only become invalid once it breaks below 0.82. And it's just 2 ticks away from that level. It's at the brink of showing an invalid 10 MACD combo. Risk level is already extremely high. Okay, this is another non-newbie friendly stock. This is not for newbies. Okay, next. The dominant range is between 0.84 to 0.9. 0.84 to 0.9. Although it looks like that it's still parked closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, I would say that the overall, all in all, the momentum power indicator is bearish still. For one, it's a red candlestick. That alone is sufficient enough for me to declare a bearish momentum power indicator. The top 10 players' mood for today was neutral. My overall sentiment is already bearish on Abacor. Number one, the 10 MACD combo is although it's still valid, technically valid, the momentum power indicator is bearish already. So respect your trailing stop loss. If you have Abacor, don't top up. Don't top up. If you don't have Abacor, very good. Don't buy yet. Don't buy yet. There's no buy signal for Abacor. Next, SurePass. It closed today at 0.95. Support is at 0.91. Resistance is at somewhere here. Let me plot this one. At 1.20. Let me plot this. It's near 1.20 as a precursor to 1.35. 36. 1.35. So the 10 MACD combo is it still valid? Let me check. The 10-day moving average is at 0.95. It's still valid. Okay, it's at the brink of breaking below the 10 SMA, but as soon as it registers a price lower than 0.95 tomorrow, that invalidates the 10 MACD combo already. RSI is in the neutral territory, but it's closer now to the classical oversold level, and it is downward sloping. Risk level is still low for a sure pass. The downward momentum remains low. The negative DMI is hovering the positive DMI, and ADX is above 28 points. So that's another score for the bears. All right. So the dominant range is between 0.94 to 0.96. Overall, this is a bearish momentum power indicator. The top 10 players' mood was neutral. My overall sentiment remains bearish for sure pass. Don't enter a new position yet. And if you're going to tell me that you have a position on sure pass, that only means you violated our processes. You entered a new position even if there was no buy signal. And the only logical solution to that is to cut your losses. Okay. Next, ECP. Okay, ECP closed today at 9.9. Support is at 9.7. Resistance is at 14.25. The 10 MACD combo is still valid, but it's already at the brink of, is it? The 10-day SMA is at 9.76. Okay, let's see. It's still valid, technically speaking. The 10 MACD combo is valid. RSI is in the neutral level, but it's a little bit downward sloping. Risk level is already extremely high. So again, ECP is not for newbies. Okay, ECP is not for newbies. So here, the dominant range with respect to the closing price of 9.9 is, hold on, ECP here. 9.9 is closer to the intraday low. So the dominant range was between 9.9 to 10.2. It's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So therefore, the 10 MACD combo is, no, not the 10 MACD combo, but the momentum power indicator overall is bearish. The true market sentiment was neutral for today. So my overall sentiment is bearish for ECP. This is not a newbie friendly stock again. Okay, stay away from ECP for now. And last for today's video is tech. It closed today at 10.2. Support is at 9.86. Resistance is at 15.85. The 10 MACD combo is invalid, and RSI is lying dead flat, close to the classical oversold level. Risk level is already high. This is another non-newbie friendly stock, and the downward momentum is confirmed very strong. The momentum power indicator is bearish. The true market sentiment, the dominant range is between 10.2 to 10.62. So that makes the momentum power indicator bearish. The true market sentiment is neutral for tech. My overall sentiment is, obviously, it's bearish. So stay away from tech for now. Alright, so that's it for today's video. If you have not attended the Evergreen Seminar, I strongly recommend that you attend that seminar. So the closest one is in Makati this coming September 28th, Saturday, last Saturday of the month of September. Just click on seminars on our website and you'll see the schedule. Register ahead of time so that you can reserve a seat. For those who are not 1-year subscribers, although you're not entitled to a 50% discount, I still suggest that you register early. You might get a discounted ticket if you do register within this week. Again, my name is JC De Guzman. If you have follow-up questions, please ask in our private clients forum. Have a disciplined and a profitable trading day this week. Bye for now.